So you scroll through your phone, and you see someone with millions of followers living this perfect life. Beautiful home tours, happy family vlogs, viral comedy skits, and you think, wow, they have it all figured out. But sometimes the person behind the camera is hiding something so dark, so disturbing, that when the truth finally comes out, it shakes the entire internet. Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt.
Parenting influencer Ruby Franke and her business partner Jodi Hildebrandt.
Now we're going to go to our GMA exclusive with the eldest daughter of mom influencer Ruby Franke, who pleaded guilty to child abuse last year. Sherry Franke is now sharing her story in a new book, including allegations about her mom's relationship with her former mentor.
Court recalls the matter of State of Utah versus Hildebrandt. Case 231501763. Counsel are present. Ms. Hildebrandt is present.
Back in 2015, a mom from Springville, Utah, decided to start a YouTube channel with her husband, Kevin. The channel was called 8 Passengers, named after the 8 members of their family: Ruby Franke, Kevin, and their 6 kids: Shari, Chad, Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve. And the concept was pretty straightforward. It was a family vlog channel. Ruby filmed their daily routines, homeschooling sessions, parenting moments, all of it. She was posting about 5 times a week at 6 in the morning, and people ate it up. Ruby was born on the 18th of January 1982. She and Kevin were both devout members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and their content had this clean, wholesome, conservative family values kind of energy that resonated with a huge audience. They were based in Springville, a small city in Utah County, and the whole channel had this polished, suburban family feel to it. By 2020, 8 Passengers had around 2.5 million subscribers and had racked up over 1 billion total views. Ruby had essentially turned herself into one of the biggest momfluencers on the entire platform. She was giving parenting advice, sharing discipline strategies, and giving viewers what felt like an intimate look at raising 6 kids in Utah. But even at the height of the channel, a lot of viewers felt like something was off. Ruby had this very rigid, very strict parenting style that kept raising eyebrows. In one video, she told her audience that children do not deserve and should not receive unconditional love. In another, she revealed that she had sent one of her kids to school without lunch as a form of punishment. When the school called her about it, she doubled down and defended the decision on camera. There was another incident where she took away her teenage son Chad's bedroom entirely as punishment, forcing him to sleep on a beanbag for months. Viewers were furious. A Change.org petition was launched by concerned viewers who said they believed they were watching child abuse and neglect unfold on YouTube in real time. Ruby and Kevin dismissed the backlash, saying the clips were being taken out of context. But the audience had started to turn. By 2021, the subscriber count was dropping and the comment sections were getting hostile. And then, in 2022, things shifted dramatically. Ruby and Kevin separated. Kevin moved out of the family home. And around that same time, Ruby started working closely with a woman named Jodi Hildebrandt. So who is Jodi Hildebrandt? She was born in 1969 inches, Tucson, Arizona. She held degrees from Brigham Young University and the University of Utah. She worked as a licensed mental health counselor and ran an organization called Connexions Classroom, which was marketed as a program for addiction recovery and personal development. Jodi had originally been hired to work with one of Ruby's youngest children, but the professional relationship quickly became something much more consuming. Ruby and Jodi launched a new channel together called Connexions. They also created a joint Instagram account called Moms of Truth, where they started offering parenting classes. Ruby's original 8 Passengers channel was suspended that same year. So now Ruby is no longer just making family vlogs. She has essentially handed the reins of her life over to Jodi Hildebrandt, and things are about to get terrifying. Ruby took 2 of her youngest children, her 1-2-year-old son and her 9-year-old daughter, to live at Jodi's home in Ivins, Utah. That is several hundred miles away from where the family had been living. The kids were isolated from everyone they knew. Their father, their older siblings, friends, school, everything familiar was gone. Neighbors and Ruby's oldest daughter, Shari, who was 20 and away at college, called authorities multiple times to check on the younger children. But the wellness checks did not turn up enough evidence for any action to be taken at the time. And what happened inside that house between May and August of 2023 is almost impossible to process. Ruby forced her son to perform physical labor for hours, and sometimes days at a time, in extreme conditions. He was made to work outside in the blistering Utah heat with no shoes on. He suffered repeated sunburns so severe that his skin blistered and began peeling off in sheets. She denied him food, and when she discovered he had consumed water without her permission, she punished him for it. Jody Hildebrandt used ropes and handcuffs to bind the boy's wrists and ankles. The restraints caused deep lacerations and damaged muscle and tissue, and instead of seeking medical attention for those wounds, they treated them with a homemade mixture of cayenne pepper and honey, and then wrapped them in duct tape. Ruby's 9-year-old daughter endured similar treatment. She was forced to work outside barefoot and was denied adequate food and water. At one point, when police finally searched the home, they found the girl sitting alone in an empty closet, described by officers as petrified. Both women told the children that everything being done to them was an act of love. According to prosecutors, they tried to convince the kids that they were evil, that they were possessed, and that they needed to be punished in order to repent. The abuse was rooted in what investigators would later determine to be religious extremism. The prosecutor would go on to describe the conditions inside that home as a concentration camp-like setting. On the 30th of August 2023, Ruby's 1-2-year-old son managed to climb out of a window at Jody's house. He approached several nearby homes until someone finally answered. The neighbor, a man named Clarkson, opened his front door to find a boy who was emaciated and malnourished. He had open wounds on his wrists and ankles. He was wearing torn socks with bloody duct tape and plastic wrap around his legs. He had no shoes. He was wearing a ragged top that appeared to have bloodstains on it. When the neighbor asked what was going on, the boy said it was personal business, but the neighbor kept asking questions because something was clearly very wrong. The boy told the Clarksons that the wounds were his own fault, repeating what he had been told inside that house. He had been conditioned to believe that the abuse was justified. The neighbor could smell the flesh from the child's wounds. He and his wife fed the boy and called 911 immediately. The neighbor told the dispatcher that a 1-2-year-old boy had shown up at his door asking for help, that the boy was emaciated, had tape around his legs, and was hungry and thirsty. When police arrived, the boy told them his younger sister was still inside Jody's house. Officers rushed to the home and found Ruby's daughter in the same state of severe malnourishment. Both children were hospitalized. All 4 of Ruby's minor children were placed into the custody of the Department of Child and Family Services. Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt were both arrested that day. In November 2023, Kevin Franke filed for divorce. The Washington County Attorney's Office later released Ruby's personal journals. She had documented the abuse in her own handwriting. Crime scene photos, body camera footage, and interrogation tapes were all made public about a month after sentencing. In December 2023, both women pleaded guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony. 2 additional counts were dropped as part of their plea agreements. Ruby also agreed to testify against Jody in exchange for the county attorney's neutrality at future parole hearings. At the sentencing hearing, Ruby addressed the court through tears. She said her charges were just and that they offered safety to her family and accountability to the public. She told the judge that for the past 4 years, she had chosen to follow counsel and guidance that led her into a dark delusion. Prosecutor Eric Clark, while reading the sentencing recommendation, called Jody a significant threat to the community. On the 20th of February 2024, Judge John Walton sentenced both women to 4 consecutive terms of 1 to 15 years each. Under Utah law, the maximum aggregate sentence for consecutive terms is capped at 30 years. The Utah Board of Pardons and Parole will determine exactly how long they serve. Both are currently incarcerated at the Utah State Correctional Facility, housed separately, though prison officials have acknowledged they could cross paths during gym time or classes. Eric Conover.
Eric Conover pled guilty to 2 felony charges as part of his plea deal. Those are first-degree assault and reckless conduct.
Friday, a Carroll County judge sentenced 36-year-old Eric Conover to prison.
The state is asking the court to deny Eric Conover's request for an expedited bail hearing and treat his mental health crisis claims with skepticism.
So this next case is a little different from what you might expect on a list like this, because Eric Conover was not some shadowy figure hiding a dark secret. He was one of the most visible lifestyle creators on YouTube, and his entire brand was built around showing you the most expensive, most beautiful homes in the world. Eric was born on the 21st of October, 1989, in Pomona, New Jersey, and he grew up in the nearby town of Absecon. As a teenager, He spent 8 consecutive summers working as an Atlantic City Ocean lifeguard, from 2004 all the way to 2012. He was a serious athlete too. He earned a Division I rowing scholarship to Northeastern University in Boston, where he spent 4 years training on the Charles River. He graduated in 2013 with a bachelor's degree in public advocacy and rhetoric. After college, Eric packed up and moved to New York City to pursue acting and modeling. And he did get some work in both fields. But the entertainment industry is unpredictable, and the pay was inconsistent, so Eric started looking for something more sustainable. In 2014, he launched a YouTube channel. The early content was pretty standard fare: lifestyle vlogs about living in the city, fitness routines, health challenges, travel. He was scraping by in a tiny apartment, working odd jobs, just trying to make it work. But then he did something that changed the entire trajectory of his career. He filmed a tour of his own 300 square foot apartment in Manhattan, just a regular guy showing how he survived in a closet-sized living space in one of the most expensive cities on Earth. He talked about budgeting, meal prepping, keeping sane in a space where the kitchen and the bedroom were basically the same room. That video blew up. It became one of his most watched uploads and caught the attention of Ryan Serhant, the high-profile real estate broker from the TV show $1 Million Listing. Serhant was impressed enough to give Eric access to some of his multi-million-dollar listings and let him film inside them. That is where everything changed. Eric created a series called Luxury Listings, where he walked viewers through some of the most jaw-dropping properties in the country. We are talking about homes in Bel Air worth $56 million, estates in Malibu worth $50 million, penthouses in Manhattan, mountain lodges in Aspen. The production quality was cinematic. Drone shots sweeping over infinity pools, dramatic scores, professional narration. It looked more like a Netflix series than a YouTube video. The series took off. By the time the channel peaked, Eric had close to 3 million subscribers. He became a licensed real estate broker and joined Nest Seekers International, one of the most prestigious firms in New York City. His luxury listings series even featured celebrity guests, and his videos were getting millions of views each. He had essentially created a new genre of YouTube content, blending cinematic filmmaking with property tours in a way that nobody else was really doing at that scale. He was also earning serious money from the content itself. News outlets referred to him as a YouTube millionaire, and that was not an exaggeration. His channel had become a marketing engine for ultra-luxury real estate, and developers were actively seeking him out to feature their properties. So, here is a guy who has a golden retriever named Theodore, a fiancée named Hannah Coleman who also worked at Nest Seekers, brand deals, a booming career combining entertainment with high-end real estate. He was living the life that most people only dream about. And then March 2025 happened. On the 17th of February 2025, just weeks before everything fell apart, Eric posted on Instagram celebrating 1,444 days of sobriety. He was also in the middle of launching a new podcast. Things seemed stable. Then, on the 13th of March 2025, Eric was arrested in New Hampshire and charged with a DWI. He was released on his own recognizance. So whatever sobriety he had been maintaining was apparently over, and nobody in his circle publicly addressed what was happening. 2 days later, on March 15, things escalated in a way nobody could have predicted. Eric was driving his Jeep through the small town of Bartlett, New Hampshire. Bartlett is a quiet mountain town in the White Mountains region, the kind of place where a high-speed police chase is the last thing anyone expects. A local police officer clocked him going roughly 55 to 60 miles per hour in a 35 zone and attempted to pull him over. Eric did not stop. He kept driving for about 8 miles before finally pulling to the side of the road. But when Bartlett Patrol Officer Cameron Emmett approached the vehicle on foot to try to de-escalate the situation, Eric hit the gas. He drove his Jeep directly into Officer Emmett. The officer rolled onto the hood of the vehicle, was carried for a stretch, and was then thrown approximately 40 feet onto the pavement. Emmett was seriously injured, suffering damage to his leg that required hospitalization. And then Eric pumped his fist through the sunroof of his Jeep and sped off. What followed was a second pursuit that covered 28 miles, with both local and state police in chase. It only ended when New Hampshire State Police managed to deploy spike strips to disable the vehicle. Officer Emmett has since returned to active duty. Eric was taken into custody and initially charged with attempted murder, first-degree assault, and reckless conduct with a deadly weapon. But the behavior after the arrest was almost as shocking as the incident itself. During his bail hearing, Eric told the court that the state troopers had brutalized him. He also tried to claim he was not the same Eric Conover that officers were looking for in connection with the chase. And then he made a statement that went viral across every legal and true crime channel on the internet. He said that if anyone dared to test his mental competence, he would eviscerate every single person with his intelligence. That clip spread everywhere. Legal commentators, true crime channels, news outlets. Everyone was talking about the luxury real estate YouTuber who had just threatened a courtroom after running down a cop. And it did not end there. In a recorded phone call from jail to his mother, Eric was caught on tape strategizing about his defense. He told her to have an attorney send out an email with the subject line, "YouTuber has mental health crisis." His reasoning was that the media had slandered his name, and a PR push around a mental health crisis would generate empathy from the public. And as he put it, you cannot feel hatred towards someone you feel empathetic toward. In September 2025, his defense team filed a notice of insanity defense. They cited a bipolar disorder diagnosis and argued that Eric was in the grip of a manic episode during the March 15 incident. He spent 30 days at a mental health facility for evaluation and was ultimately deemed competent to stand trial. By December 2025, rather than going to trial, Eric accepted a plea deal. The attempted murder charge was dropped due to insufficient evidence. He pleaded guilty to 2 felony counts, first-degree assault and reckless conduct. He was sentenced to a minimum of 4 years and a maximum of 10 years in prison. As part of the deal, he will undergo mental health treatment at the start of his sentence. Eric addressed the court briefly at sentencing. He expressed regret and attributed his behavior to an acute bipolar manic episode that impaired his judgment. It was a far cry from the man who had threatened to eviscerate everyone in the room just months earlier. During the sentencing hearing, Officer Emmett delivered a victim impact statement. He told the court this was not the outcome he had hoped for, and that a police officer being run down during the course of duty is not a minor incident. Ali Abulaban.
The Superior Court of the State of California in and for the County of San Diego, the people of the State of California, plaintiff.
So if you were on TikTok anytime between 2019 and 2021, there is a really good chance you scrolled past a guy doing a near-perfect Tony Montana impression. The accent, the swagger, the intensity. It was so convincing that it barely felt like an impression. It felt like a full-blown performance. That guy was Ali Abulaban, and he went by Jin Kid online. Ali was born on the 18th of May, 1992, in Staten Island, New York. He grew up in Virginia in a Palestinian-American family and attended Stonewall Jackson High School in Manassas. He later earned technical certifications in IT-related fields. Before he ever built a social media following, Ali had a pretty conventional career. He worked as a quality management analyst at a company called Alpha Omega Integration and later held a role as a senior IT network engineer for the federal government. But that kind of work was never what he wanted to be doing. Ali had been drawn to performing since he was a kid. He grew up watching classic films and studying the mannerisms of actors, and he always dreamed of being in front of a camera. When TikTok started gaining momentum in the late 2010s, Ali saw his shot. He joined the platform around 2018 under the handle Jin Kid and went all in on content creation. His feed was a mix of comedy skits, celebrity impressions, and short parodies. And the Scarface material is what made him take off. His Al Pacino as Tony Montana was so sharp that it earned him genuine respect as a performer beyond just racking up views. People were not scrolling past his videos, they were watching them twice. He also did impressions of John Wick and Tekashi 6ix9ine, among others. He released music, including a single called Say Nothing in 2020. He had a YouTube channel under the Jin Kid name with over 170,000 subscribers, and he had mini TV series listed on IMDb, including Skyrim in Real Life and Montana, a Scarface story. By October 2021, Ali had around 940,000 followers on TikTok. He was right on the doorstep of 1 million. Brand deals and sponsorship opportunities were starting to flow in. His cousin Louis would later say in a Peacock documentary about the case that Jin Kid was an escape for Ali, a way to become a completely different entity that was super famous. Ali also had a YouTube channel under the Jin Kid name with over 170,000 subscribers, and he had mini TV series listed on IMDb, including Skyrim in Real Life and Montana, a Scarface story. He was building what looked like a real entertainment career, and his wife Anna appeared in a lot of his content. She helped film the videos and made regular on-screen appearances. From the outside, they looked like a young couple building something together, attractive, energetic, always laughing on camera. But behind all of it, the relationship was falling apart in a very dangerous way. Ali had a documented history of abusive behavior toward Anna throughout their marriage. There were recorded incidents of physical violence. Court documents would later detail that the couple's relationship had been volatile for years, with Ali becoming increasingly controlling and possessive as his online fame grew. The couple had married on the 27th of January 2017, and they had a daughter together, a little girl named Amira, who was about 5 years old at the time of what happened next. By October 2021, Anna had reached her limit. She filed for a restraining order against Ali and started pursuing a divorce. On the 18th of October 2021, following a domestic violence incident, Ali was told to move out of the couple's apartment on the 35th floor of the Spire San Diego, a luxury high-rise in the East Village neighborhood of downtown San Diego. He checked into a nearby hotel, but Ali did not let go. He still had a key to the apartment, and without Anna's knowledge, he had been letting himself back into the unit while she was away. On the morning of the 21st of October 2021, while their daughter Amira was at school, Ali went back to the apartment one more time. He vandalized the place. And then he did something that prosecutors would later point to as the strongest evidence of premeditation. He installed a listening app on his 5-year-old daughter's iPad. The app turned the device into a live microphone, allowing him to hear everything happening inside the apartment in real time from his own phone. This was not something he did in a moment of rage. The app had to be downloaded, configured, and tested. He left the iPad positioned inside the apartment and went back to his hotel room to wait. Later that afternoon, while sitting in his hotel room, he heard something through the app. He heard Anna talking, and he heard the voice of a man. That man was Rayburn Cardenas Barron, 29 years old. He was a friend of Anna's. According to trial testimony, the two of them were sitting on the couch together in the apartment. Ali became enraged. He drove from his hotel to the Spire, took the elevator up to the 35th floor, walked into the apartment, and opened fire. He shot 6 rounds. Anna and Rayburn were both hit multiple times. Security camera footage from a neighboring apartment captured the sound of the gunshots. Anna Abulaban, 28 years old, and Rayburn Cardenas Barron, 29 years old, were found on the couch with fatal gunshot wounds to their upper bodies. Both were pronounced deceased at the scene by paramedics. San Diego police later confirmed that both victims had been shot while sitting on the couch and did not appear to have had any chance to react. After the shooting, Ali left the building, drove to his daughter's school, and picked up Amira. While driving with his 5-year-old daughter in the car, he called 911 and confessed. He told the dispatcher that he had just ended his wife's life. San Diego police located and arrested him shortly after. Amira was taken into protective custody. At his arraignment days later, Ali was visibly shaking and weeping in the courtroom, but prosecutors were not convinced by the display. The trial lasted nearly a month and included 3 days of testimony from Ali himself. The prosecution, led by Deputy District Attorney Taryn Brast, argued that this was a premeditated act driven by jealousy and an obsessive need for control. Brast told the jury that Ali was so possessive of Anna that if he could not have her, no one could, and anyone she was with could not live either. The installation of the listening app, the drive from the hotel to the apartment, all of it pointed to a calculated act. Ali's defense team pushed for voluntary manslaughter. They argued that he had suspected Anna of being unfaithful for months and that he was overcome with emotion when he walked in and saw her with another man on the couch. They said he lost control of his faculties and fired without any ability to stop himself. The jury did not buy it. In May 2024, Ali Abulaban was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. On the 6th of September 2024, he was sentenced to 2 consecutive terms of 25 years to life without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 50 years to life. Judge Jeffrey Fraser compared Ali to the very character he used to portray online, telling the courtroom that when Ali saw the Scarface videos, it was as if he had become that persona. He called it a cold-blooded act carried out without remorse. When the judge declared that Ali would die in prison and never be a free man, the courtroom erupted in cheers and applause. Ali responded by mockingly slow clapping back at the crowd. Vitaly Zadorovetsky.
Ang balita namin meron, pero hindi pa namin nakita yung buong archive niya.
So most of the people on this list built their following slowly. They posted content, grew an audience, and then eventually something went very wrong. But Vitaly Zdorovetsky is a completely different story. This guy has been getting arrested in different countries for well over a decade, and somehow he just kept making content and kept getting bigger. Vitaly was born on the 8th of March, 1992, in Murmansk, Russia, a city way up near the Arctic Circle, close to the Norwegian border. He spent part of his childhood in Odessa, Ukraine, before his family moved to the United States when he was around 14 years old. They settled in Boca Raton, Florida, where Vitaly finished his last 2 years of school at Park Vista Community High School. Growing up, he wanted to be a professional skateboarder, but a series of injuries ended that dream pretty early, so he picked up whatever work he could find. His first job was as a garbage collector at age 15, making about $5 an hour. After that, he worked as a sign spinner and then as a busboy at a restaurant in Miami. And at 18, he briefly appeared in an adult film through the production company Bang Bros. He later made a YouTube video explaining that decision, and it was clear that he did not see a future in that industry. He wanted to do something creative on his own terms. In August 2011, Vitaly launched his YouTube channel, Vitalized TV. The early content was pretty basic: skateboarding clips and small-scale pranks where he annoyed strangers in public places. He had a series he called Disturbing the Peace and another one called Russian Hitman. But then in June 2012, everything changed. He uploaded a video called Miami Zombie Attack Prank. The concept was directly inspired by a real and very disturbing cannibalistic attack on a homeless man in Miami that had been dominating the news cycle that month. Vitaly dressed himself up as a zombie and chased people on the street, and he filmed the entire thing. The video went absolutely massive. Over 30 million views in just a few weeks. And just like that, Vitaly was one of the biggest prank creators on the entire platform. But even this early success came with legal consequences. He also did a prank around the same time where he approached 3 black men while pretending to be a police officer, accused one of being involved in a robbery, and told all 3 they were getting tickets for wearing their pants too low. That video prompted accusations of racism and got him arrested on 2 counts of impersonating a police officer. He followed it up with more viral content anyway. The Russian Hitman prank had him planting a briefcase near a stranger and warning them they had 60 seconds to get away before it exploded. That one actually got him arrested by the Boca Raton Police Department on charges related to bomb threats, though those charges were eventually dismissed. He also made videos like Gold Digger Prank and a piece titled How to Get Girls to Kiss You, which alone pulled in over 74 million views. He was making content consistently, sometimes pushing out multiple pranks in a single week, and the numbers kept climbing. By 2013, he had also done a widely shared video called Extreme Homeless Man Makeover, where he befriended a homeless man named Martin and provided him with new clothes and a hotel room. The video went viral for more positive reasons, and it actually led to a job offer for Martin, a reunion with his wife, and a fundraiser that brought in about $10,000 for dental work. So there was a brief window where people saw Vitaly as more than just a prankster. By 2015, Lionsgate bought the rights to a feature-length prank movie Vitaly starred in called Natural Born Pranksters. His channel eventually crossed 10 million subscribers with over 1.5 billion total views. For years, he was one of the most watched pranksters on the planet, and arguably one of the most recognizable. But as the view count started to plateau, the stunts got more extreme, and the arrest record got longer. In July 2014, Vitaly invaded the pitch during the World Cup final between Germany and Argentina in Brazil. He sprinted across the field in front of millions of viewers around the world. In May 2016, he climbed the Hollywood sign in Los Angeles. He made it up to the letter D and waved a flag from the top while filming the whole thing. He was arrested for trespassing. Just 1 month later, in June 2016, he streaked during an NBA Finals game. In October 2017, he ran onto the field during Game 5 of the World Series at Minute Maid Park in Houston. Then, in 2019, he invaded the pitch yet again during the UEFA Champions League final between Liverpool and Tottenham in Madrid. His girlfriend at the time, Kinsey Wolanski, was the one who actually ran onto the field in a swimsuit promoting an adult website, but Vitaly was widely believed to have orchestrated the whole thing. That incident resulted in him being banned from the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. In early 2020, he flew to Egypt and climbed the pyramids of Giza. Egyptian authorities arrested him, and he spent 5 days in jail. And then, in April 2020, things took a much darker turn. Vitaly was arrested in Miami Beach after he allegedly tackled a female jogger and struck her multiple times in the head and chest. The woman suffered a 2-inch cut above her right eye that required stitches. He was charged with aggravated battery. So by this point, the pattern is unmistakable. Vitaly does something outrageous, gets detained, and then bounces back to do it again. But the Philippines broke that cycle entirely. In early 2025, Vitaly traveled to the Philippines and began live streaming on the platform Kick. And what he did there went beyond anything that could reasonably be called a prank. He harassed people on the streets of Bonifacio Global City in Metro Manila. He yanked a security guard's hat off his head. He attempted to grab a police officer's service firearm. He mocked local workers and security personnel. He filmed people without their consent and vlogged in areas where filming without a permit is prohibited. He carried a heavy electric fan out of a restaurant and into a hotel lobby. He screamed obscenities at a woman who confronted him about his behavior. Reports also indicate that he harassed an elderly woman and behaved inappropriately toward a windsurfing instructor on the island of Boracay. He reportedly stole items from a McDonald's and drove recklessly through the area. Every bit of it was live-streamed on the internet. On the 2nd of April 2025, Philippine authorities arrested Vitaly in Bonifacio Global City. He was handcuffed and read his Miranda rights on camera. In his mugshot, he was smiling, like it was a thumbnail for another video. At a formal press conference, the country's Interior Secretary Jonvic Remula declared Vitaly an undesirable foreign national. Remula stated that content creation is not a license to shame, hurt, or endanger others. He was charged with 3 counts of unjust vexation, attempted theft, alarm and scandal, and violations related to unauthorized public filming. His cameraman, believed to be a Filipino national, also faced charges for enabling the behavior. Both the United States and Russia publicly denounced Vitaly. Neither country showed any urgency in claiming him. The Russian government released a statement saying that Russian tourists should not be judged by the actions of one individual. The Philippines' Interior Secretary said at the time that they did not even know where to send him home to, but that they would make sure he served his sentence first. Vitaly was sentenced to 9 months in prison. He was held at a Bureau of Jail Management and Penology facility, where he served a total of 290 days, including 91 days in complete isolation. In January 2026, he was released and deported to Russia, where his mother met him at the airport. He is now permanently barred from entering the Philippines. After his release, he posted on social media saying he had spent 290 days in a jail filled with rats, cockroaches, and temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius. He said authorities tried to break him, but claimed the experience only built him up.